Hey, this is Pat Rose of Set the Hook and Pro Wrestling fame. I'm looking forward to being on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
For those who don't know, now you know, baby. This is Hot Rod Biggs, Jared, Jimmy Street. We're going to take them to the limit one more time, baby, right here on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one more time to the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast. And as always, I am joined by my brother from the same father and mother, the Plastic Sheik, Jared Street. What's up, Sheik? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, brother. How about yourself?
Man, Merry Christmas. I guess this is our somewhat Christmas episode, you know?
It's our last one before Christmas, at least, right?
Exactly. So it's the last one before and way ahead of the next one. So some people have been really reaching out to us to come on the show, Jared, and it's actually very surprising. I don't want to announce anything, but I'll send you the message and I'll see what you think. But it is let's just say surprising. So we'll go with that. But I'd like to start the first part of this episode off by you guys out there, if you have our prayers for our family right now. We lost a first cousin, Tamara Diane Mitchell. She was like a second mom to us when we were younger. She was like an older sister. She was a troublemaker from the far reaches of space, but she was a sweetheart and we loved her. We miss her. And if you guys just have a prayer for us and especially her son Mason, who is like our little brother. Yeah. And we, just pray for our family right now, guys. We don't want to necessarily start it off on a downer, but we do want to say that this episode is dedicated to her memory. How about that? We'll say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. She's she's very passionate about everything. So
yes.
We love her. It's gone way too soon.
Yeah, absolutely. She was way too young. She was 61 years old and just, passed away in her sleep. And, it's crazy. And it's, I think it's something that'll affect our family for the rest of our lives. And that's just how things are, So you lose good people. But, next time, always answer that phone call. Always make that phone call. Do your best to reach out, stay in touch with your family. Unfortunately, you don't know when you might not have another time to do it. So if you can learn anything from our loss or losses that you, the listener, have had in the past, don't take the second chance to, get in touch with somebody. Always make sure, if you can, to get in touch with them and try to, maintain somewhat of a relationship, because you never know what that'll mean to somebody on the other side. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
Yeah, but,
absolutely.
To kind of go on a different note, I don't think there's any way to segue from that, but I did want to make that mention, especially of how much she meant to us and, how much she means. She's the mother of our little brother, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it
absolutely.
is what it is. But like I said, on another note, it is our 50th episode, Sheik. Our I guess, whatever. But yeah, we've reached 50 in podcasting. So, wow.
Doesn't seem like it. It honestly seems like
about 55. I'm just kidding.
It seems like 55. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, it seems like 55 of these things. Yeah.
No, but it is 50, and I think it's always something cool. I mean, we're never the one to really be like, we've been doing this for a year. We've been doing, I think the number idea is better, that way you're not held down to remembering specific dates all the time, although I could look back and see. But the point is, we've grown a lot, I think, as interviewers and podcasters, and I feel like, hopefully, that the product you hear today is better than the product you heard at the very first, and I'm not saying that in any other way other than the fact that I hope that, we continue to improve and we continue to give you all the best podcast that we can. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still feel like a newbie at this, so hopefully I've improved some.
Yeah, you definitely have. But again, you're not a newbie at this, even though you feel that way. I just basically said, hey, we're doing a podcast and you're doing it. So that was the way it was. But I didn't really have to argue with you too much. It was pretty easy.
You didn't have to twist my arm. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think Wolfie and I have done 126 episodes. Yes, 126. And then you add the 50-ish of hours. 50. We're saying 50. That's like 176 episodes of new original material that doesn't just pop out of thin air, y'all. So,
yeah.
So thank you all for being here with us. Thank you all for enjoying this podcast as you do. I get so many amazing notes and so many messages from so many great people. The one thing that I think most people enjoy is when we shut up and let the guy come on and talk. We've had Rick McCord on. We've had incredible guys, Shane Morton, Kroll, Jeff Daniels, Dante Mephisto, David Isley, and Tommy Angel. So many
Ben
great
Jordan,
Ben Jordan, exactly. And so many great names that we've had on here. It's been an honor to have them on here. And today we have one that is just as great as all of them in Mr. Pat Rose, man. Pat is awesome.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it.
Got a great history, got a great resume. I know I say that all the time, but really, truly, it's very cool to be able to talk to him. Anyway, instead of yammering on about all this, let's go ahead and get him on. What do you say, man?
I'm ready.
All right. We'll be right back with Pat Rose on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, it's Paris. I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
Are you a pro wrestling fan? Well, stop by Captain's Corner, where you can get autographed photos, cards, magazines, and figures from all of your favorite wrestling superstars of the past, present, and future. You'll also be able to participate in live signings in the weeks and months to come. Make sure to stop by Captain's Corner on Facebook and give us a holler. Remember, cheers to the working man.
All right, we are back with more from the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast. And Sheik, I tell you, man, we always do our best to bring the folks a great show, and I feel like we've got a great one today. In fact, I think we have set the hook on one real quick. Hold on. I'm reeling it in right now. Oh, no, I got him. All right. Hey, Pat Rose, how you doing?
Hey, man, how you guys doing? Doing good down here in Trenton, Georgia.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show with us today, man.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having us, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're very excited about it, Pat, because we were talking about this a little bit before the show, and we've had a great run of guys recently. Tommy Angel, Rick McCord, David Isley. I was like, and we got to get somebody with some history to them, and that's why we got you, man.
That's all good guys you just mentioned there. Rick McCord, the whole deal, good people.
Yeah, Rick was incredible. It was just, well, I tell you what, I would only compare it to your list.
Yeah.
So, territory guys that did some awesome stuff, and honestly, we're just really busy. So, I tell you what, instead of yapping about other people, let's go ahead and get started here. So, the very first question, we always start with my brother, the Plastic Sheik. Take it away, Sheik.
All right, Pat. So this question right here is designed to kind of let the audience get to know you and your influences and to let us get to know you. But if you had like 4 or 5 wrestlers that you could say are on your like Mount Rushmore of best wrestlers or most like to watch wrestlers or whatever, who would they be?
It's funny. I done an interview last week with a big podcast guy here in Chattanooga. And that was the first question he asked me.
Oh man.
Man, I've got to go with Terry Funk, Harley Race, Ric Flair, one more, right?
And 1 or 2. You can have 2 if you need it.
Let me have, and these are tag teams, Midnight Express, Rock and Roll.
Oh my gosh, man! That might just be the list. I might not need to ask that question anymore.
Yeah, I think we got the one. Ding 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 ding.
Yeah, you just broke that. You just broke that question, I believe. Man,
you know what? I never got to work with Harley or Terry Funk, and I've had Terry on my show, our radio show, Seth Hook, Pat Rose.
Yeah,
and had him on a couple of times, man, and I love that guy. I hated he passed away, but we all got a transition.
Right.
But what a super guy. And Harley Race was always one of my favorite wrestlers. The way he moved.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was so methodical and smooth, and he didn't rush. And the guy was great.
Really was. He really was. The Funker too, man. I tell you, he's one of my favorites of all time as well. But he's just so funny, especially when you get him on a show. I'm sure you noticed that when you had him on your show. It's just hilarious, man.
Yeah, he is. And I was lucky, man. I got to hang out with Dory Jr. Over in Puerto Rico, and got to know him really good and talk to him a lot. And through that, I got introduced to Terry when we was doing WCW, and he was announcer or whatever.
Yeah.
And just a super guy.
That's awesome.
Guy.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, Sheik, it was your turn. Now it's my turn. So, Pat, tell me about your younger days. Where were you born? Like, talk about your high school and kind of lead that into when you started liking wrestling.
Sure, man. I was born in Anaheim, California, moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee with my grandmother when I was 6 months old. My grandmother raised me. Yeah. I had a cousin that used to go to the Memorial Auditorium here in Chattanooga, and her name was Joni, and she'd take me, and I would sit in the Gold Circle, which is the middle part of the arena, and you can have a good view and this and that, and I would see, oh my God, Jackie Fargo, Roughhouse Fargo, Don Fargo, Dennis Condrey, Phil Hickerson, Kojo Yamamoto, all these guys, the old timers.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it when I was 12 years old. Now, I went to Dade County High School here in Trenton, Georgia. Okay. And it was called Northwest Georgia High School at that time. But I wrestled from the 8th grade till I was a senior. Amateur wrestling, shoot wrestling, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And loved every minute of it. Now, at the age of 19, and stop me when you want to, but at the age of 19, I met a guy named Ken Hawk.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, who Ken Hawk is, he was the manager of the original Samoans, T.O. and Tapu.
Okay,
And,
yeah.
I went to Washboard Lane up there in Cleveland. Ken's passed away now, bless his heart, but went to Washboard Lane up there in Cleveland. Ken had a ring out in his yard, and I trained for about 2 weeks with a guy named Bill Russell, and I'm thinking Mike somebody, but they trained me, and in 2 weeks I was getting ready to wrestle Ken Lucas down here at the WDF TV 12 in Chattanooga, and I was at the door, and I looked over at Ken. I said, "Hey, Ken, you gonna tell me what to do, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, kid, just listen to me." I said, "Yes, sir." And we had a good match, man. It was top wrist lock. I'd pull his hair. He'd fight up. I'd pull his hair. And, it was funny, man. It's good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good.
That's awesome. So you felt maybe what you would consider yourself a bit of a natural from the start? Did you feel like you just figured it out?
I was an athlete. Played football, wrestled. So that helped me.
Right.
In taking bumps, doing arm drags, and taking a backdrop. And this was when all this first started, taking a backdrop over the top onto the floor. And that was about as far as I went with it.
Yeah.
I'm not the flipping and floppy guy. I love mat wrestling.
Yeah. Right.
Well, it's in your background in shoot wrestling. That's perfect.
Yeah. Doing spots and this and that,
Oh, yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. No, I think there's elements of both that I enjoy, but I think a good mat-based wrestling match, man almighty.
Yeah, and I always love working with or wrestling Les Thornton. Now, Les Thornton was a mat wrestler shooter too, and I didn't realize, but I was looking back at videos of Georgia Championship, and I got to wrestle with Jack and Jerry Briscoe.
Oh,
and
wow.
Again, mat wrestlers, man, and they were good. They were good.
Oh, dude, for real. Well, I promise we're going to get there. I promise. Let's kick it off from the start here, though. So, NWA Mid-America for Nick Gulas. Obviously, probably one of the promotions you were like, I got to work for them for sure if I'm going to be a wrestler. How was it when you first met Nick?
It was great. He loved me, and at the first, my official name is Pat Smith.
Okay.
And that's what I was wrestling as. And Nick come to me one time, and he says, "Boy, you don't look like a Smith. From now on, your name is Pat Rose." And I said, "Yes, sir."
Yeah.
So from that point on, Pat Rose was my name. And Nick Gulas was always nice to me, always paid me good. I know he's got a lot of bad rep out there, but he was good to me.
The more that I talk to wrestlers who actually worked for him, I feel like that those rumors and bad stories kind of get pushed to the side. Yeah. I mean, we've talked to several men who got their start in for Nick, and it's funny. It seems like maybe a lot of those bad stories about him are unfounded. It sounds like.
Yeah, I agree, man. Because if Bobby Eaton was still alive, I'm sure Bobby Eaton would have something nice to say about Nick.
Yeah, exactly.
Bobby Eaton owes Nick his career, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And now a word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso Virtual Coffee Machines. Ready to enjoy the bold flavors of barista-quality Nespresso iced coffee at home? Simply fill a glass with ice and press the brew button on your virtual pop machine to enjoy rich double espressos roasted to stand up even when chilled. Refreshingly bold iced coffee. Refreshingly easy to make at home. Visit Nespresso.com to shop now.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle.
Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue. Subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Sheik, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all, and all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Got some good news for your ears. More of that good stuff is coming up. And even better news for your hair. The best hair care is at Sephora. They've got all kinds of products for every kind of hair. From brands like Amika, Kerastase, Day, and K18. You knew where to get great audio. Now, you know where to get great hair care, too. Sephora. Good news for great hair. Shop hair care now at Sephora.com.
I tell you what, Pat, throughout the show, we normally do this thing called the name game. It's just like a name association. First thing you think of or a story or anything like that. And we usually play it at the end of the show. But with you and being your history is so rich with all these great names, we're actually going to start it at the beginning and roll through it the whole show and then go into stories and things like that as we go. So, Pat Rose, would you like to play the name game?
Sure, brother.
All right. DJ, hit the music.
Now it's time to play the name game. Now it's time to play the name game. Now it's time to play the name game.
Okay, we're back with Pat Rose and the name game. So we talked about Nick, and that leads us to his son, George. Now, George has recently got a bit of flack on YouTube by an unnamed wrestler. I know this wrestler's going through some health issues. We're not trying to pile on him, but George Goulas being the first name.
Again, good guy to me. Never had to work with him. I don't want to put no heat on him or nothing like that, but he was more of a basketball player than he was a wrestler. You know what I mean?
I think that's fair. Yeah.
All right. How about Coco Beware?
Loved him. When he first started, he would come stay with me in Chattanooga and come over to the house and hang out till the matches. And Coco's a sweetheart, man. I love him to death.
That's awesome. So we've picked a few of these names from your early days there. You know, some of these names, some of the listeners may not know, but I want you to teach them about them. So a gentleman named Rocky Brewer, how about him?
Rocky Brewer, we were the NWA Mid-America Tag Team Champions. As a matter of fact, it's funny you should mention him. I'm getting a replica of the NWA Mid-America Tag belts from... Where is this guy? From Pakistan.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He's good, brother.
Yeah, he does good. Yeah.
I had the original Southeastern tag belt, and now I got a replica of the Southeastern tag belt, and it looks perfect. And this guy does a good job, and they're affordable, you know. Yeah. But Rocky Brewer, great guy. I talked to him. A couple years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and he's doing good. He was running shows up where he's from, Iowa or somewhere. Yeah. But Rocky Brewer, good guy.
Cool. Well, the next one on the list I'm going to ask is Duke Myers.
Duke. All right. The first time, and this is funny, man, they were beating up, him and Tojo was beating up Rocky Brewer. All right. And Nick said, son, I'm going to have you go in and say Rocky Brewer, go to Harry Thornton, ask him, can you help him? Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. I went to Harry Thornton. I said, Mr. Thornton, can I go help my buddy Rocky? And he says, yeah. So I slide in under the bottom rope and start beating up everybody and beating up Duke Myers. And Duke Myers was doing the honors, and I kicked him. And he got hot at me, and I didn't know. Yeah. But Duke Myers, good guy. I like him, man.
That's
good
awesome.
Person.
That's awesome. Well, the next one on the list, we got to go with Phil Hickerson.
Phil Hickerson, Dennis Condrey, one of the best tag teams in Nick Goulas history. I loved watching those guys from the audience, man. And I got to know Phil pretty good and stopped by Jackson, Tennessee at his radio station and just talk to him and hang out with him. Got to know him real well. He's a good person.
That's awesome. How
about the Blonde Bombers?
Wayne Ferris and Larry Latham. That's who we beat for the titles, man. Love Wayne Ferris. Love the honky tonk man. Had him on the show a couple times. Still try to talk to him every now and then. And
that's awesome.
Larry Booker, Larry Latham. He's passed away.
Right in the ring. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Good guys.
You mentioned him earlier. How about Tojo?
Loved him. He was a stickler for kayfabe, and I am a stickler for kayfabe, although everybody knows.
Right.
But you're not going to hear it from me.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, he told me years ago, he said, Pat Rose, Al, how'd I go? He says, Pat Rose, you ever tell anybody I'll have Gypsy Joe break your legs? And I was 19, I was like, yes, sir. You know.
That's all you needed to hear, right?
That's right, bro.
Well, you brought him up. I want to hear something about Gypsy Joe.
Gypsy, golly. Okay. 19 years old, working out hard, had a body, kind of, sort of. Gypsy would just beat the crap out of you, and I would fight him right back. I'd try to hurt him. He'd try. Oh Lord! But you know, as far as being stiff, Gypsy, man, he was the guy. Golly, but a good guy. I like Gypsy.
Right. Yeah.
How about Arvel Hutto?
Arvel had a match with him in Nashville. This is the last time we worked together. Had a match with him. Me and him was tagging against the Midnight Rockers, Shawn Michaels, and Marty.
Oh wow, yeah.
For WWF. Yeah.
Hey, our part was good. Orville's stuff was struggling, man. He was struggling. I loved working with the Rockers.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun with Orville.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about that coming up, I promise, because I have an interesting question to ask you about that match. But let's go ahead and lean into, we're going to step out of the name game real quick. So next comes up in 1980, you're in Goulas, and then you actually make your way to Georgia Championship. What was your connection to get there? How did you get there?
Well, what happened was Nick was shutting down.
Yeah.
And he sent me and Bobby Eaton to Georgia Championship.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
And
I just saw y'all's match last night, by the way. I've been watching nothing but Pat Rose for the past 3 or 4 days, and I watched your match with Bobby last night. And man, that was a great match, man. That was really good.
It was a lot of fun. Bobby's a good guy, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have ever met him, but you'd fall in love with him. He's a sweetheart.
I have, and I did. I got to know him just a little bit. I'm not saying we were best friends, but he was great to know and very blessed to know him. I couldn't believe it. One of the greatest heels of our childhood, and he was, it's just like all the heels. I think they're the nice guys in effect. But well, speaking of someone that I've heard is a nice guy, but he was also a great heel, and probably not at this time, but Ted DiBiase.
I knew him. Wrestled with him in Mid-South. Was we buddies? No, we never traveled together, but, good guy, I guess. All my experiences was good with him.
If you're going to talk about Georgia Championship Wrestling and you're going to talk about a heel, I think this guy is maybe the best heel in wrestling history, Ole Anderson.
Loved Ole, man. And I got to tell you a Pat Rose story. I was going to Georgia Championship. We would do that every Saturday morning and come back and watch it at 6:05 and head out to an outlaw show. But I had just got a win over Dale Veazey. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with Dale Veazey, but he had a body and looked good and the whole deal. But that was a big deal, getting a win on national TV with him.
Yeah.
So I'm walking back through the control room, and I'm thinking at that time, Ole and Flair was booking, or maybe Ole or maybe Flair. I don't remember. But they said, Pat, come here. They were sitting at the control room booth or whatever. And I said, yes, sir. And they said, hey, Pat, what are you doing right now? And I just had my daughter, Erica, and what are you doing right now? I said, well, I'm working a job and wrestling. And at that time, I was making $1,200, $1,500 a week. So I was good.
Yeah, no doubt.
And, early 80s, that was good money.
Yes, sir.
But Ole asked me, did I want to work full time? And I don't know if I would have got Tommy Rich's spot or not, but they were talking good about me and the whole deal. And I said, no. I was working a job. My daughter was just born, and I said no. So, what if? That's a what if deal there.
Definitely.
It was during the time Buzz was there, Tommy was there. Would I be dead by now? I don't know. Maybe that was a blessing from God saying, back out right now. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's some strength, actually, because, it could have been different for you, but at the same time, it could have been worse. I think you've got a good perspective on it now, but, I don't think it sounds like you don't regret it, though. I think you stayed.
No, I don't. I don't at all. After that, territory pushes, not any national pushes, and I could have handled a national push,
Sure, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I think you could have, for sure. Now, speaking of someone who's a national push, I'm sure this guy pushed you around a little bit nationally, but in Georgia, he was going by the Mongolian Stomper.
Yeah, Archie Goldie, right?
Yes, sir.
I got to meet Archie, got to hang out with Archie, never got to work him. Just a good person back in the locker room, man. Good guy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good guy.
How about the Freebirds?
Oh my God. Every time I do a radio show, there's a lot of wrestlers come from the Chattanooga area.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
There's only one that I recognize, and that's Terry Bam Bam Gordy. He's the man.
Yeah.
In Chattanooga, Soddy Daisy, Freebird Mountain.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
the man from around here. Not me, not any other of the guys that come from here.
Right.
This is Terry Gordy country, man.
Didn't he have like a cabin on? Isn't that why it was called Freebird Mountain or something to that effect?
Well, they used to do I forget the actual name of the mountain, but Michael Hayes named it Freebird Mountain. And they used to do a Freebird Golf Classic up there. And Terry lived there, and he built a log cabin up there. As a matter of fact, if you drive through Soddy Daisy, you can still see it up on the mountain. I think Terry's dad or uncle or somebody was the sheriff of Soddy Daisy.
Mm-hmm.
And but you can still see Freebird Mountain, still see Terry's log cabin up there. But I got to travel with him, got to stay with him. at the Falcons Rest in Atlanta, and just, man, I love the fabulous Freebirds, man.
Yeah, no doubt. We always talk about on here, if you were to have a child or anybody and you were going to describe, hey, draw what you think of as a pro wrestler. There's several that you could say, like, obviously Sid or Hogan or whatever. But I always think that somebody could easily draw Terry Gordy, and that would be a pro wrestler in somebody's mind, because
I tell my son all the time he looks just like Gordy.
Uh-oh.
He does, man. Got the big nose. You know how he used to flex his nose?
Yeah.
Camden does that all the time.
That's awesome. Well, maybe he should have played him in the movie instead of Silas, but
Silas gonna be good. We got
he's
to
gonna
meet
be great.
him we got to meet him last Saturday, and when Billy Corgan made the big announcement that the next territory for the NWA is going to be Joe Kazana Promotions.
Right, right.
Yeah, man, what a big announcement. I'm so proud of my buddy Joe for getting that stowed upon him, man. A lot of history with the Joe Kazana people. About 92 years.
Yeah.
About 92 years of pro wrestling.
Exactly. I thought that's the most natural fit, and I feel like it legitimizes the NWA a little more, and I mean that in the best, because the current NWA I know is not the same as the old NWA, but if you're going to keep that history alive, you got to have Joe involved, no doubt, So
exactly, totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Well, the next one on the list, no question, and if you can do the impersonation, you get extra points. But the next one on the list, no question, had to be a big match for you, and that was Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, my God. Scared to death. I was like 3 foot tall. He was about 8 foot tall. I loved it. And I love Dusty Rhodes, man. We got to be not real close, not riding buddies. I didn't go over for dinner, nothing like that. But we would talk fishing all the time, and I would tell him, I'd say, Dusty caught some smallmouth this week, man, when we're at TV. He said, Perro, you didn't catch no smallmouth. And he'd tell Dustin, Perro said he caught some smallmouth. They just get on me, man, but I love Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah. You're speaking of your show, our father is an avid fisherman. Since his half retirement, he's fished every week, I think even in the cold weather days. And I joke, I said, Jared, I told Jared before the show, I said, honestly, our father, our who made us, part of our DNA, would rather listen to Pat's show, I'm sure, than our show.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, man, I tell you what, our show, we do it every week, been doing it about 15 years, and we talk to the top bass pros from Major League Fishing to Bassmaster, and Lord, I've had Bill Dance, Jimmy Houston, and Hank Parker, all of them on the show, man.
That's awesome. Well, I promise we'll get more into that, but I just had to bring that up as it came to my mind. So,
yeah.
All right. How about Jim Duggan?
Love Jim Duggan. Loved him. Wrestled with him a couple times. Was in Mid-South with him.
Yeah.
And just a super guy, and I'm so glad he's kicked cancer.
Yeah, amen. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the next guys on the list, and this is actually, they were a tag team at this time, so I'm going to put them together, even though they really became two separate entities totally on down the line. But in Georgia Championship Wrestling, there was a very promising young tag team in Arn Anderson and Matt Bourne.
Yeah. Matt Bourne, good wrestler. Arn's name speaks for itself. I was... and he gives me credit for helping train him. Actually, Ted Allen trained him, but Ted would bring him to a place called Albertville in up in Alabama on the mountain, and Arn and Tony Zane and all those guys that were training with Ted would come up and work. Mm-hmm. And I would get to work with Arn, man. And Arn, I hate he got hurt. I understand how he got hurt because, and I tell Camden this all the time, if you would notice how he hit the ropes, flat backed instead of a little turned.
Yeah.
When that rope broke, he had nowhere to go but out over and on the floor.
Right. Okay.
Now, if you hit the rope kind of sideways, you would have an opportunity. You could feel that rope, because I had it happen to me on Memphis TV. The rope broke, and I didn't take a bump outside. I was controlled, the whole deal, and I hate that Arn got hurt like that, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
He was great. He was great. Matt Bourne, good wrestler too.
Yeah.
Traveled with him a few times and a lot of laughs, and he was a good wrestler too.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
All right, how about Stan Hansen?
Oh my God. I would work with Stan every now and then at the Omni in Atlanta, and I'm so blessed to have had work there, man. Back in the day, that was the South's Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Amen.
And I got to work with Stan, and he gave me the whole match. But when it come time for the lariat, whoo, he laid that baby in there. And that's what I told him, and he started laughing. But Stan Hansen, man, he's one of the greats.
That's awesome. Very cool.
You know what, man? Just thinking about this, we were lucky. How old are you guys?
I'm 45. Jared's 42. Yeah.
Okay. We were lucky to come up with these guys. You know what I mean?
No doubt. Yeah.
Witnessing Terry Funk, witnessing Dusty Rhodes, Stan Hansen, Ole and Gene Anderson. My Lord, we were so lucky.
We were. Yeah. Amen. Yeah. That's why we're bringing them all up, man. That's honestly it. You know.
Love it, man.
Yeah.
Love it.
So the next one on the list now, this guy, he went on to make a much bigger name for himself, but he might have even been Richard Rude or Rick Rude at this time, but I think they modified the spelling to his original form at this time. But anyway, Rick Rude.
You know what? I was there when all those Minnesota guys come down, Road Warriors.
Yeah.
Got to meet the Warlord in Kansas City. Rick Rude started coming down, and I was his first match on Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
And at that time, he was green, but God, look what he turned out to be, man. He was great.
Yeah, no doubt. That's, it seems like there was something in the water up in that Minnesota area there,
Yeah, man.
Speaking of, yeah, you brought them up. Go ahead and talk about the Road Warriors while we're at it.
Loved them, man. Hawk and Animal. When I was on my way out, and I'd done a couple TVs for WWE. I think it was Huntsville, Nashville, and Chattanooga. But I got to ride with, or Hawk rode with me.
Okay.
And we had such a good conversation. He's such a good guy. And back in the Georgia Championship Wrestling days, he would bring, you know what Zubas are, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He would bring me boxes of Zubas. And he said, Pat Rose, I want $5 pair for him. So I upped the price to $15.
Yeah.
And man, he would bring them to me. It seems like every week, but I was always covered up in Zubas. If you wanted Zubas, see Pat Rose.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You were the store. I love it. That's awesome.
Matter of fact, I ordered my son and I a few pair throughout the years, and we still wear Zubas.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've heard they're very comfortable. I've never owned a pair, and that is a shame. I can't even. I should have to quit this podcast. That's not even.
When we get off this daggum podcast, you go there and you order you a pair.
I will. I promise. I promise.
Did the Road Warriors own a stake in that or something? Or
they did. Something? They own the company.
Yeah. I think it was.
Did.
Yeah, which, heck yeah, man, that's a brilliant idea, and they were already probably looking for pants just like that, and then they, end up having the company, which is awesome, So,
yeah, that was cool, man. That was really cool.
Very cool.
King Kong Bundy.
He was a good guy. Got to work him a couple times here in Chattanooga and on TV.
Yeah.
He took care of you, didn't hurt you. You figured him being that big, he'd hurt you and fall on you and all kinds of stuff, but he was a good worker. Good worker.
That's awesome. Okay, well, this next one is, this next name I'm going to bring up is synonymous with, legendary wrestling. But the only difference is there was a junior at the end of this name versus the name that was the longtime WWF heavyweight champion is Bruno Sammartino Jr. or David Sammartino. And you actually wrestled him at the famous Last Battle of Atlanta show.
Man, you know what? Camden, I was watching that last night, and you can tell my body was in shape. I was on key at that time.
Yeah.
And working with David Sammartino was an honor. Being his lineage as Bruno's son and the whole deal, I loved it. I loved it. And actually, he beat me 1, 2, 3, but he actually shook my hand and raised my hand in the ring. And I thought that was cool of him. So
very cool. Yeah. And you're right. I just watched that last night myself, actually. So whoever has that YouTube channel is getting some views, but you were on point and it was a very good match. And I thought you did a great job with him.
Thank you, man.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
As a sports fan, I have to confess. Sometimes the game gets kind of boring. That's when I unfold my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 and use multi-window viewing on its large screen. Boring game? I'm checking out my fantasy baseball league at the same time. Score still 1-0? I'm replying to emails in the other window, scoring points with the boss. Semifinals finally getting exciting? I'm buying tickets to the finals and booking my flights. Can your phone do that?
The new Galaxy Z Fold 7. Get yours at Samsung.com.
Hello, Nigel here. I couldn't help noticing that you're still awake. Now, I'm an owl. I'm supposed to be up at night. But you need your sleep. So if it's your allergy symptoms that are keeping you up, here's a word to the wise. Try Zysol. You see, Zysol works fast to relieve sneezing, runny nose, itchy watery eyes, and itchy nose and throat. And it keeps going strong for 24 hours, so you can get your sleep and wake up refreshed and ready for a productive day ahead. Be wise, all. Take Zysol at night. Use as directed. Starts working in 45 minutes.
This is Kroll, and you're listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling with Jimmy Street and Jared the Plastic Sheik. Be sure to like, subscribe, and view all of our USWO and Saw Wrestling content at Nashville Wrestling Network, exclusively on YouTube.
Now, I got to hear about this. So it was, and I could be wrong, and I might be off my timeline, but around this time, maybe you're writing a little bit with Jim Cornette to some things, and there's a rumor you do an incredible impersonation that you created, and he couldn't do it on his show, but I would love for you to.
Man, Cornette would laugh, the pig man.
Yeah, the pig
and
man.
I would raise my, and I look like a pig, I guess. And he would just laugh. He would cackle. So I'd do it every time I was around him just to make him laugh.
Yeah.
But Cornette and I, when we were in, and I was so proud to be a part of this.
Yeah.
When Rock and Roll and Midnight started that feud in Mid-South.
Yeah.
You know, I knew my job. I was first, second, or third match. My job was to take what's his name, Tony Torres or Jerry Gray, and have a hell of a match with them.
Okay,
that was my job, to get them fired up and ready for the Rock and Roll, and that's exactly what I did. And I had no problem with it. I made good money, and I always thank Ricky Morton. And I talk to him and Kerry every now and then. Kerry's great.
Yeah.
But I talk to him, talk to Ricky every now and then, and I thank him so much for making me a lot of money in Mid-South. But my Lord, yeah. And if you would, go watch episode 310 of Jimmy Cornette Drive-Thru.
Okay, will do. Yeah.
I'm at 10,644. So let's get it. Go.
All right. Sounds good. I love it. I love it. You know, next up in your career, it's 84, and you actually make your way down to Mid-South, and you end up working the Rock and Roll Express while you're there. So talk about, I guess, bring up the Rock and Roll. Talk about those guys.
Man, Rock and Roll were great. And we did, well, that's jumping around, but Rock and Roll was great. I love working with them. I remember working with Ricky and Robert at it was an Army base, but it wasn't TV or nothing like that, just a regular house show, and got to work with them, man. And they would do anything I asked. Anything I wanted to do, they would do.
Yeah.
And but TVs now, you better put them over, because them boys, they're selling the tickets.
Yeah, amen. That's awesome.
But loved working with them. And I love the Rock and Roll.
Yeah, very cool. Well, you dip down to Mid-South, but then you head back to Georgia Championship, and you actually work one of my favorite big men of all time in Don Jardine, a.k.a. the Spoiler.
I don't remember that match, but I'm sure I did, because I worked with everybody on Georgia Championship. But actually, when I was in Mid-South, I got a call from Arn Anderson. And got a call from Arn Anderson. He said, Pat Rose, turn your notice in, get down here to Southeastern. So I said, okay. So I turned my notice in. Next thing I know, I was in Pensacola hanging out with Quick Draw Rick McGraw, my buddy. I loved him to death, and I can't believe he's passed away.
Yeah.
But I didn't see Arn for 2 weeks when I got there. And then I finally moved in with Arn, and the rest is history. We had a good time.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So I see you did some stuff in WCCW. I guess it was like the Missing Link in Killer Khan. Talk about, some of that.
Well, that's when, if I'm not for sure, Jared had the territory, right?
Yes.
And, I got to wrestle with him, got to meet Devon Eric, hang out with Kerry and talk to those guys, and enjoyed working the Sportatorium, man. A lot of history there. And I show that to my son all the time, the Sportatorium.
Oh, man.
But, working with Killer Khan, what a legend,
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you do a little thing, you do Mid-South, you do World Class, and then you do a little thing in Mid-South. And I guess this is where Arn tells you to wrap it up. But you work, guys like the Fantastics, Dr. Death, Buddy Landell, the PYTs, you got to work Terry Taylor. One of the guys I want to hear about, and this guy was actually previously on our show, is Rick McCord.
Oh, good guy, man. Good worker, good wrestler. If I'm not mistaken, I was in Kansas City with him when Jim Crockett bought Kansas City. Mm-hmm. They sent me, the Mod Squad, Warlord, I'm thinking the Barbarian was there.
Probably.
But it was a lot of fun. Mitch, oh my God, a young kid, good looking kid, Mitch somebody. But worked with all those guys in Kansas City, yeah. We'll think about it when we all hang up.
It's okay. Maybe it'll come to you in a minute. That's no problem.
That's right.
And so then, like you were saying, it leads you up to now going to Southeastern and Pensacola. And I know a lot of guys went there, especially when, it was a beautiful scenery down there. I know that the Pensacola beaches are some of the best as far as in Florida goes, So Arn was your connection there? Is that essentially how you got down there?
Yeah, Arn got me in, and they put, as soon as we came in, they put me and Wrestling 2 together.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and we got to work together. He taught me a lot, and I'm telling you what, I've still got my hoods over here, my dinner hood and my regular hood. But as far as kayfabing, we would be 30 miles outside the city, and he'd say, all right, put them on. So we'd put the hoods on. He said, don't look left, don't look right, just look straight ahead. I said, okay, yes, sir.
Yeah.
And heck yeah, we teamed, and then we had hurt Tonga Kid on TV, hurt his shoulder or something, because he was going to New York. And then come to find out about 2 weeks later, they had to unmask me and put me with Randy Rose because 2 was going to New York. And I just watched a match last night with 2 in New York. I don't remember. Oh, Randy Savage.
Yeah.
He worked with Randy Savage.
That's awesome.
And, they put me and Randy together and put the belts on us a couple of times. And, man, what a team we made. And Randy, as far as I'm concerned, is tag team wrestling in Southeastern. He was there 100 years.
Yeah, and, amen. Amen.
We had a blast. Love Randy Rose.
You were the Rose cousins, right? That's awesome.
The Rose cousins, and we'd go to the ring, man. And I don't know if you heard or not, but Dothan, the Houston County Farm Center, was dirt. It was a dirt floor.
Gotcha. Okay.
We would carry a Rose out. We would find the fattest girl in on ringside, and I'd go to reach and give her the Rose, and I'd drop it. We'd both start stomping it. And oh my God, that got so much heat. that was something else.
That's awesome.
All right, now I believe this is the start of your career-long battles with the Armstrongs. Am I right?
Yes. Oh, my Lord, yes. And Steve just come in. He was just getting in the business, so we trained him. And Scott, and oh, my Lord. Yeah, working with the Armstrongs. They're great. They're great. And seriously. I love Bullet Bob Armstrong.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Pat. So let's just pretend there's a fictitious gun to your head. Okay. And we're not really going to pull the trigger, but just pretend like somebody might. And you had to say who the best Armstrong was. And it's going to hurt
Brad.
you. I know. I knew you were going to say that.
Brad.
Yeah.
He was great.
So smooth, right?
Oh, my God. You wouldn't believe it. You've seen him work.
Yeah.
You've seen him work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Always had a great look about him. Did you work all the Armstrongs? Did you work Brian too? Or did you work just the others?
I didn't. When I met Brian, he was a kid. And he was about to go into the Marine Corps when I met him.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I remember, him showing up in Continental in his Marine dress blues and, talking to Fuller and anyway, that was some great stuff. I think that Southeastern Continental stuff is just extremely underrated as far as just heat and just good quality wrestling. I mean, honestly.
Oh, totally agree, man. And the angles. Ron Fuller's a smart man.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to see him. My son plays country music, and he had a show in Pigeon Forge, and Ron came one night, and Tom Pritchard came one night, and Ron, smartest booker I've ever known.
Yeah.
And if you don't listen to his podcast, you need to, because he tells stories and he just captivates you, man. You're just listening like, and what a guy. What a guy.
The Stud Cast, I believe is what they call it, right? That's a great show.
It.
I agree. Great listening. So now part of the Armstrongs, they kind of did their own thing and started this little faction. And it's kind of funny knowing what we know about wrestling now, especially some of the insider terms. But at this time, and I'm going to ask you, was it just blatantly known or they were called the Rat Patrol? And was this just something that they made up as an inside joke and thought they would use it? Or what do you think?
I'm thinking it was.
Yeah.
But they got over.
And I'm sure they didn't have problems with the ladies, So.
Yeah, the people loved them. They got over it. The Rat Patrol loved it.
It's great stuff.
All right. How about Wildfire Tommy Rich?
Loved it. I was doing a tour. I had a week tour going down to Key West and all that. And I was scheduled to wrestle with Elegante the whole tour.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Thank God that Gordon Soley loved me, and he said, Pat, you're not working with Elegante. Hold on a minute. Okay. And the whole week I had Tommy Rich, man. It was like night off every day. Tommy Rich was great. He wasn't good. He was great.
Right. Exactly.
As far as I'm concerned, he was kicking Hulk Hogan's ass when he was on top.
Right. You know, it's funny because you work in Tommy that during that time frame, that was when it was kind of during the York Foundation, if I'm not mistaken, era of WCW. He may not have been in that yet, but anyway, he and Ricky both totally changed their look and everything. They went heel, grew little stubbly beards, and you know, just awesome stuff. But it was so different from what we were used to seeing, especially these two blonde-haired babyface guys. You know, trying to be heels. But Tommy had some great heel years too, for sure. But you know, it's funny.
Oh man, the Buzzsaw Tommy Rich years. Oh my God.
Brutal. And you know, I know those matches are talked about and it's deserving of but I still feel like it's underrated, you know. So
I do too. We should still be talking about that like we talk about, and we don't really talk about it a lot, is Mick Foley's bumps off the cage.
Right.
Now, there's a guy here near Chattanooga in Ringo, Georgia, called Paul Lee that has Wrestle Jam every year.
Okay.
And one year he had Mick there, and Camden and I were standing. They had just inducted me into the Hall of Fame or whatever. And Camden and I was standing back at the door, and we felt somebody behind us, and it was Mick Foley. And the first thing I told him, I said, Mick, can I tell you something, brother? And he said, sure. And I said, man, you know the bump that you took off the cage and through the cage and the tooth in the nose and this and that? I said, that should be yours.
Yeah.
Nobody else should do that. And I said, why in the hell does Shane McMahon do that? It means nothing.
Yeah.
When he jumps off the cage and all that. That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And I hope he gets this message. And I say this every time I'm on a podcast. I hope he gets this message, because leave it alone, Shane. That's Mick Foley. I don't want to remember you falling off the cage.
Right. Yeah. Amen. Yeah. Maybe just don't wrestle ever again. How about that?
Please, Shane, do what the gear says and don't wrestle ever again, okay?
Well, I think we just got our next reel, Jared. So,
that's a clip worthy, man. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's a clip for sure. Yeah.
That's right, it's the talk of Middle Tennessee, the channel you love to hate and the channel you hate to love. It's Brian Turner from Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. And if you're looking for matches from Wolfie D to Jerry Lawler to Dusty Rhodes and the team that put a pimp before your eyes and a goatee between your thighs, Booty Call and Athena, go to lostwrestling.com. See, I made it easy for you. Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. Booyah.
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at USWApodcast.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jimmy Street, and that was episode 10 of the Best of James Rock Street Productions, with the first half of episode 50 of Pat Rose on Gimme Back My Pro Wrestling. We've had Pat on both shows and appreciated him both times. You can hear the full episode at GMBMPW or Gimme Back My Pro Wrestling wherever you listen to podcasts, or simply click the link in the notes below. We hope you've enjoyed the look back in the archives of James Rock Street Productions. Check us out next week to see what else we have in store. Until then, follow at GMBMPW and at James Rock Street everywhere. Peace.
With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life.
This has been a James Rock Street production.